Hi everyone, welcome back to Lewis on Film. I am Lewis, and today we are reviewing The Woman in the Window, which has just been released on Netflix. This is not a remake of the classic Woman in the Window, which was directed by Fritz Lang in 1944, starring Edward G. Robinson and Joan Bennett. Nothing to do with that one, which this one's based on a novel by A.J. Finn. It has similarities to films like Hitchcock's Rear Window. And the story is that Amy Adams plays Anna, and she's an agoraphobic woman, and she's afraid to go outside, and she's encouraged to check out her neighbours and their behaviours by her psychologist, I guess in an effort to entice her outside. While she's watching her new neighbours, who are the Russells, they've just moved in across the road, she sees Jane, who she met the night previous, get stabbed. And she sees it, but she can't prove it. And when she says that Jane Russell's dead, another lady appears who claims to be Jane Russell, and then tries to find out what is actually going on. The good. So, Amy Adams, of course, she's the beacon of light here. She is capable of carrying a film, even if the film is subpar. She can elevate it. She has that ability and is that good. And, you know, as far as she can elevate it, I'd say she does. It is nicely shot. It's a very nice use of colour for kind of each of the different days that are shown. It's it is shot by Bruno Del Bonal, who's an absolute master of his craft. I'm a huge fan of his. So that's not really surprising. It's got a score by Danny Elfman. We know his long and absolutely brilliant history. Written by Tracy Letts, who's very good at kind of single location, character-driven stuff. I'm a big fan of August Osage County, Bug, Killer Joe. He did all them. There's pedigree here. There's pedigree here behind each sort of department, and the individual elements are all absolutely fine. Unfortunately, just the whole thing doesn't really blend together, and that's its biggest problem. So the bad then. It all comes down to execution, I'm afraid. The film doesn't really do a good job of hiding the mystery very, very much. It's all very predictable. Every time there's a clue given to you, it's really obvious. So obvious you can't miss it. There's really only one piece of information that's not so obvious, and it needs to be told to you. And that's the piece that makes everything that you already know fit by the time you get it towards the end of the film. But by that time, equally, you almost don't care because you already know the twist, and this piece of information only confirms what you already know. And we need to look at the director here, because it's their job to bring it all together and to make it work. And Joe Wright, who, again, he's done great stuff. Atonement, another one of my favourites, in particularly very good. He's misfired here, unfortunately. Sorry to say. The use of location is a thing that I like and thing that I look at quite frequently. And in this instance, it is a single location piece. You've got this very large 4-storey building that's entirely her house, with the exception of the basement, which she rents out to her tenant David, played by Wyatt Russell. But they don't use that space enough. It's a big space, and there are moments where she looks tiny within this space, and that's quite nice. But it's not utilised to add or elevate anything. It's given that it is a single location piece, with the exception of a couple of very small scenes, the space never feels like it's part of the story. It feels like it's a completely separate entity, which is a shame, because it really is. It's a great space. It's a great building, a wonderful looking building, and it isn't explored correctly, I don't think. So overall, I think the film is passable. It's not completely terrible, but it's not enjoyable for its mystery, because the clues are so easy to pick up on, and that's not really a mystery. I enjoyed the drama, sort of come thriller element of it, and it was just about enough to keep me watching to the end. It's quite a trashy piece, but it's trying to be quite a cultured piece, and it's really not. It doesn't succeed in being. It doesn't succeed in being a nice polished piece, and it really is trying to be. If you want something good to watch, the other Woman in the Window that I mentioned at the start it's not the same thing, but it's a much better thriller than this. And it was the birth of a certain trope, which I won't spoil. There's a certain trope that's used in cinema quite a lot now. That film was the birth of it, as far as I know. But speaking of classic films, the one that this draws the most from, and as I've already said, Rear Window, that's the flagship sort of housebound thriller, isn't it, really? Which I'm not a massive fan of, to be completely honest. The reason being, because it puts the audience ahead of the main character, once it does that, it loses its edge, is the reason I don't like Rear Window. But in terms of how to set it up, Rear Window is the prime example. Disturbia is I guess a Rear Window remake, and the Shia LaBeouf 2007 film, that was quite good fun. But none of these films, I think, personally match the brilliance of Wait Until Dark, which is the 1967 thriller starring Audrey Hepburn, directed by Terence Young. That, for me, is the benchmark in these kind of psychological housebound thrillers. So if you want a good housebound psychological thriller, Disturbia is a fun one. Rear Window is, like I say, I'm not a huge fan, but it's better than this. And Wait Until Dark is the one I would compare it to, and it's nowhere near as good as that. So, yeah. Thank you very much, folks. We're trying to change things up. I'm trying to keep things fresh, keep things going, keep trying to entertain as much as I can and deliver as much info as I can to you. So by all means, keep subscribing, keep checking things out. This week I am looking at Oxygen, which is the new film from Alexandra Ayer. I'm also looking at Those Who Wish Me Dead, which I'm really looking forward to, starring Angelina Jolie. Hopefully I can. I know it's been released in the US on the 17th. I hope there's a way for me to watch it as well. So yeah, lots more to see. So I'll see you soon. And the cinemas have reopened this week on the 17th. I'm very excited, just a couple of days away. Unfortunately, nothing new yet. I'm really annoyed by, but I'll be going to check out Nomadland again. And Godzilla vs. Kong, of course, is out. So yes, the cinemas are soon back, so I will be doing a lot more. So we'll see you soon.